invocation. I'd ask Imam Rahim Abdullah to begin the invocation, to follow by the Pledge of Allegiance, led by our Deputy Director of Public Safety, Deputy Clark.
With the name of God, the gracious, the compassionate. Praise be to God, the Lord and cherisher of all the worlds, most gracious, most compassionate, master of the day of judgment. Thee do we worship, and thy aid we seek. Show us the straight way, the way of those whom thou hast bestowed thy favor, not those whose portion is wrath, nor of those who go astray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Edwards.
Present.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Present.
Commissioner Henderson. Here. Commissioner Henry.
Present.
Commissioner Isom.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Present.
Commissioner Singleton.
Present.
Mayor Muhammad.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Is there a motion for the approval of regular minutes of January 21, 2020?
Support.
Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson and supported by Commissioner Adams. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries on.
Is there a motion for the special minutes of January 22, 2020?
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson, supported by Commissioner Adams. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries on.
Is there a motion for the special minutes of January 29, 2020? Motion is made by Commissioner Adams.
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yep.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries on.
Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listing?
Support.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams and is supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Is there discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes, with the exception of WeCycle due to conflict of interest.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to the public participation portion, citizens' comments. Each speaker has a maximum of 3 minutes. Please register with the city clerk and she will call you accordingly.
Ms. Eleanor Gavin.
The microphone is on.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I came here in good faith. Our racial equity committee came to this city council in October with a resolution to start a I came with the resolution to provide consulting services to start a racial equity committee in partnership with the city of Benton Harbor, in which it was approved by unanimous vote. I did a presentation in which that presentation outlined consulting services. I did a presentation for the city manager. I came to 2 legislative committee meetings. I came to the public safety committee meeting. I just recently came to the planning and economic development meeting. We've had events. I've attempted to work with the city manager under Commissioner Henderson's recommendation to give me an office, in which he said no. When I first met with the city manager, he actually told me that I need to talk to Whirlpool before I move forward. And as much as I love Whirlpool, I worked for Whirlpool right out of high school in the IT department. However, I understand that that is not where you start when you're working on a racial equity committee. We have been working with no budget since October, and it just makes sense for somebody to put it on the floor tonight. We were told that somebody would put it on the floor tonight, and I'm wondering if they're gonna operate in integrity or if they're gonna say something different. But we have an opportunity here to bring millions of dollars into the city. We have an opportunity to provide services for people who have been neglected. Their emergencies have been overlooked. We live in a society in which $200,000 roads, sidewalks, and $190,000 homes on Pavone is worth more than our Black lives. We have an opportunity. If you have an issue with the budget, I respect that. Put it on the floor to start this racial equity department, and then call a special meeting within a couple of days so you can vet out the service agreement that I shared. But I believe that at some point, if we say on Facebook that we care about these people, if we say that we're ready, make it happen tonight or not at all. Thank you.
Mr. Marvin Haywood.
Excuse me. Good evening. Once again, we're in the midst of 2020, and as they say, a year that we would like to move forward. I would like to echo my sentiments in regards to racial equity, because for the last 15 to 20 years, the equity in the city has been strategically and surgically put in areas other than the inner city. When we talk about the equity, there has been a lot of equity that has been captured through the numbers, through the poverty of this community that has not went to help strengthen the community nor the inner city. We know that there has been strategic things put in place to put our schools, our city residents, and those who have a stake in this community at a disadvantage. Truly, we know change does not come with money. Change comes with the people. We also understand that there's a lot of times that others, and I talked about that form of power that I spoke on, and I told y'all a long time ago, there's 3 forms of power. People can have power over you. You can have power to do the right thing, because each and every one of you has a voice to do the right or the wrong thing, and you have power with people. And as we move forward, we can look at some of the previous deals that have been made in conjunction with, they talk about diversity and inclusion. Truly there has been diversity, but there has been exclusion in economics, education, and everything that is to help the inner city. We came up out of receivership in 2017, and yet I thought that you all would have a plan, and each and every one of you, as you move forward in your committees, that you would have something that you had a passion about, and that you would bring it and move it forward. Because right now we're living in some trying times. And when you talk about having an authority for the city, why would you want to have an authority for your riverfront project that you own? It just doesn't make sense. Why would you want to have a opening of conversation to have someone sit on a board where they would have control of the dollars that's coming through the authority? I mean, a lot of things that's happening, it just doesn't make sense. And common sense does not cost a quarter. You know, one thing I've always known is that I don't get caught up in a title, because your character means more than a title. And we full well know and understand that it's no accident that there has been decisions that have never been made in our best interest. And when you talk about planning, you just look at the commercial development that happened with Harbor Shores.
Thank
They
you,
want to
sir.
have us in the tribunal, and we got 2 companies in our community, yet our schools are suffering.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Haywood.
Mrs. Lynetta Moore.
Good evening. I just wanted to share quickly in reference to my support for racial equity. It seems like there's a gap even within our city that's predominantly looks like us. There's a gap there. Maybe it needs to be some form of checks and balances. Maybe that racial equity group can bring forth something that has been far too long overlooked. And from the evidence, from the studies, it definitely can add to what you are already doing. If the motives and the true intent is there, this is a bonus. The money is there, we just have to choose it. It's as simple as that. Something has to be sacrificed, and it has to be sacrificed with us in mind. And I just ask that you just help us bring this forth to help the community better. It can bring us together. It's not just solely about African Americans. It actually incorporates us as a whole, as a city, a growing city with multiple races. We have to be able to establish something here that's going to be beneficial for us now and moving forward. Thank you.
Mr. James Duncan.
I just have one question. Speaking of racial equity, the lady said that she was sent to Whirlpool to ask about a racial equity program in Benton Harbor. How do you add that up? And who would have sent her to Whirlpool in the first place? That's my question. And at the end of this program, I'd like to get an answer to this, because I never get an answer to any of my questions in this meeting. I've been coming here for years, and I never get an answer at the end of the program. I would like to get an answer to that right now in front of everybody, because most of the time, everybody walks out by the time it's time to really ask questions. I won't get an answer right now, but I would sure like to know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I'd like to thank everyone who participated in the public comment section of our agenda. This brings us to the next item on our agenda, a public hearing. I declare the public hearing is open. I ask that the applicant rise for overall proposal, and then that will follow by discussion and questions by the city commission.
Yes.
They got signed too.
The front row.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Kathy Tilley. I'm with Cornerstone Alliance. We are here again to put forth a question on the approval for the commercial rehab exemption certificate for 825 Riverview. Here with me is Matt Rogatz. He is the developer of the property. And we are asking for a 10-year exemption on the property.
Any further before we open up for discussion? City Council. The chairman recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seaver.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Do apologize for my voice tonight. I just would suggest that we go a little bit further in detail because, again, as I so stated, Ben Harbor is not a non-for-profit. We can't go forward, so I think you need to explain the difference, that you will be paying taxes, but you want to suspend the amount of overhead that you're spending. And I would ask the commission to, what my counterpart suggested was to come off the 10 years. They come off the 10. We can come off the 10. Come off the 10. I think you recoup the money for 10 years. And maybe we can suggest a common denominator of 7, something like that, because I don't want to hamstring this to a point to where if something does happen, we never recoup anything. I think how long does it take for you to recoup your money back instead of 10 years? Because we got projects already that you got 99 years and you got 20 years. So hopefully we can come off that number 10. I can agree to anything. If we can just digress a little bit. If you can give us some ballpark figures on what and how long it takes you to get back that which you invested, and I'm welcome aboard. I know you're gonna do good down there, but again, 10 years is a long time. It'll be, I mean, if I do an addition to my house, the tax assessment's gonna go up quite a bit, and I'm gonna have to pay taxes on that. And I guarantee she's gonna make sure of that. So I wanna make sure that we're not that far off for the years that you guys are gonna be out there. Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Mayor, for this time.
Chairman recognizes Mr. Cleveland.
Good evening, thank you, Rob Cleveland, I'm the president of the Cornerstone Alliance, so appreciate the opportunity to speak, and we're happy to go into as much detail as you'd like. I know we were here quite a long time the last time, so we certainly don't want to hold you up. So we'll answer any questions you have. I will start, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, with answering your question about the taxes. So from a tax standpoint, you're exactly correct. Mr. Rogatz here will still pay the existing taxes on the property. So the commercial rehab process freezes the assessed value, the taxable value of the property. So Mr. Rogatz will still pay the same amount of taxes that are paid based on the taxable value of the property, which will be set at the end of the year. In addition to that, the state and the local operating school tax will continue to be paid as well. So the school corporation will be made whole both from a local operating millage, which is 18 mils, the state operating, state education tax, which is an additional 6 mils. Those millages will still be paid in addition to the base taxes. So you're exactly correct. Again, we're happy to go into any additional detail, and I'll turn it over here to Mr. Rogatz. He can talk specifically about the project.
What about the 7-year period?
Well, I think they're gonna answer the question as far as, I think if I'm correct, Mayor Pro Tem, you asked about return on investment.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And Mr. Mayor, I'll turn it over to Mr. Rogatz. What I will say is the reason for asking for 10 years is Mr. Rogatz can certainly go into additional detail, but we're still working through. So still working through the estimates. I know he got additional estimates. He's working with local contractors and local architects to put those numbers together. And there's an intent here to do.
I'm asking the audience, please be respectful. There is a portion for public comment. And when you speak, we will enforce the same code of conduct. But I do ask that we be respectful of those persons that are speaking, regardless to whom or what. Thank you.
So last thing I'll add, thank you, before we turn it over to Mr. Rogatz, is again, we've been working through some numbers. There's an intent here to do a lot of great things, but I'm positive that Mr. Rogatz is only going to be able to spend what he's able to spend. And ultimately, some of that will be dictated by the environmental and the architecture firms and those sorts of things. But I will let Mr. Rogatz talk specifically about what he's learned the last few weeks and maybe the direction of the project.
So, Commissioner Tom. Okay. So thanks again for having me here. I think I've done a lot of projects. I have probably about 800,000 square feet of properties, mostly in Chicago. I saw a investment here, an opportunity in Benton Harbor. My boss of 15 years is from Benton Harbor in Chicago. So there's some connection there from Benton Harbor, and I have some affinity to Benton Harbor, so I'm excited about working here. But talking about the project, so like I said before, tried to get a manufacturer here, a distributor here for months and months and couldn't get anyone. And that's what I do. I'm an industrial real estate broker. So my expertise is getting tenants to buildings. And I couldn't do it in Benton Harbor. I tried my best. Chicago, I did Wisconsin, I did Indiana, and I did Michigan. Thousands of people I've reached out to without avail. So I have no other choice than to try to develop this myself. Okay, it's not what I want to do. I want to go back to Chicago and and do my thing. But I have this building that I want to make something of it. And it's going to require, unfortunately, a heck of a lot of money. And I'm putting myself out there financially, and it takes a lot of time to get here from Chicago. It's not around the corner. So my travel time and all my time that I have to do here. But I think it's a valid project, and I'm excited about it. But I'm getting some numbers here from an architect that putting in a banquet facility and putting a rooftop deck in is going to be extremely expensive. It's going to take hundreds of thousands of dollars probably to do that because of the structure wasn't made for 150, 200 people on the roof. And it wasn't made for 300 people on the second floor, maybe 30, 40 people. So it's going to take a restructuring of this building. And I'm still trying to decide if I'm even going to do it, because now the numbers are crazy. They're getting really expensive. And, I love Benton Harbor, but, I'm a business guy, right? It doesn't make financial sense to me. Probably not going to do it. So I need help. And if you look at the amount of taxes that, the building's assessed at 5 something, I bought it for, $150,000 for that building. And anyone that knows that building, it's a pretty good deal, right? But it needs a new roof, the sprinkler system shot, the electrical needs to be worked on, the HVAC system shot. You're gonna need a whole new HVAC system. That's about $300,000. That's a heck of a lot of cash to come up with. So, I'm trying to I'm trying to work with you guys, and I want to be a team player, and I want to make something great out of this building, whatever that is. But I'm going to need help.
Chairman recognizes Commissioner at Large Adams.
Thank you. And thank you. I have a lot of family in Chicago as well.
Okay.
And it's not that far away, but we're working on,
I gotta go home to my.
working on using the waterway to get to and fro as well. It's a highway. Yeah, especially if you worked all day, I'm sure. Thank God for good weather.
Yeah.
I want to make sure that I'm clear, and we have the assessor here this evening, that upon the end of the year, we're looking at 11 months from now, you should be finished, and a reassessment will take place. And
The chairman recognizes the successor.
Generally, how these programs work is that, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I haven't done it, I only have it in a couple of years, but the land is left on the ad valorem roll to pay the normal millage rate, okay? The building value, as it is today, is moved to a special act roll, and it's charged a different set of millage, and I can't tell you that off the top of my head. And then there's all the value of all the work done, which is separate, and that goes on to a separate parcel number and tracked. Okay, so the value that he adds will be assessed, and what this abatement does is it takes all that value that was in addition. So all the improvement work that he did, it takes it and it sets it aside and gives it a reduction for this number of years. And then when that number of years expires, then it's all moved back on with the land and taxed normal. So
Okay.
it's kind of like it's just setting it off to the side, giving it a little bit of break for a few years, let him get his stuff done, and then it's all moved back to be taxed normal.
okay, from what I just heard and to my understanding and knowing a little bit about the functionality of the brownfield, it's kind of like allowing him to reinvest in his property that he's not having to pay the whole assessed amount.
Yeah, it's an incentive. It's really
Yeah,
an
yeah,
incentive
yeah, I
to
got
be
it.
able to
I got it.
improve things
Okay.
and make it affordable. But then,
Yeah.
in the long run, it all comes back on and it's taxed.
Okay, and that can be a good thing, especially for something that's just sitting dormant, doing nothing and dying. It would be nice to ride down that way or even the park and seeing it upgraded to see some activities going on. I think it's been like probably 10 years now that I gotta say this, New York, of course it's much larger than Benton Harbor. Sits on an ocean, or is it a sea? I don't know. But there's more people there than it is us, and I'm sure they have a tax base out of this world because they're constantly growing. People come to and fro. It's like a tourist attraction in itself. But people live there, people play there, people visit all the time. Do we just sit still and wait for the water to rise? Or do we step out and allow business to do business? If I had some money to invest, I'd probably be somewhere else myself, to be perfectly honest. And that's just keeping it real. But I can see giving this incentive with just one thing in mind, and that's that if it's not utilized or remodeled for the purpose intended within that time, that it reverts back, that redistricting becomes null and void.
Chairman recognizes President Cleveland.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do think it's important to point out, Commissioner, that you're exactly right. So again, as long as Mr. Rogatz owns the building, if you grant this abatement, he will pay the same amount of base taxes. The only thing he wouldn't pay on is if he invests. So if he doesn't invest anything, he is still going to have to pay the exact same taxes that are paid today.
Yeah.
Or you get the building back, right? Ultimately through the tax foreclosure process.
Yeah.
So there is, if he does nothing, he is still paying the exact same amount of taxes he would pay today.
Okay, and that's my thing, because I've done weddings. I've spent a lot of money, lots of money on just things to decorate with. This stuff is costly. And over time, when you're trying to put a business together, for anybody that has ever tried to, it takes time. And especially to recapture back. But we're gaining a big water customer as well. I mean, I'm looking at all avenues. And we want to be a business-friendly community. And we are. And I'm just gonna say ahead of time, welcome.
Chairman recognizes Second Ward Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Good evening to you all. It's not an omen or anything. So I won't go through all that, what I felt about last time, 10-year thing. Just hearing how the abatement works, correct me if I'm wrong, through the chair. So we give you a tax break while you rehab, rebuild, get the business started. Basically what it is.
It's an abatement.
Yeah, but break it down. We got some citizens that's watching it on YouTube who have no idea what abatement is.
Right, so a tax break would be no taxes.
No taxes
But
until.
an abatement under the commercial district, we still collect the taxes, but the improvements and the investment is placed in a quote unquote escrow. So after the time expires, then all of the improvements, property is already being assessed, and then the city gets all of that, as they pay forward.
Got it. Exactly what I said. But here's my thing. How, if it's a 10-year thing, it seems to me that either that's too much taxes for you to pay and you have to take 10 years to make money, or you're going to stretch the job. Because if that's the case for improvement, it shouldn't take you 10 years to improve it. So say you improved it in 5. What happens? So you just get away with the next 5 years and you don't have to be model, don't have to improve anything, no more new sidewalks, whatever, right? So once you get that done, but you're asking for 10 years and we signed that 10 years, and at 5 years, you don't do no more improvement on the property for another 6, 7 years, but you get away with 10, and that help us? No, because some of us ain't gonna see a dime of that 10 years from now. We got kids that are gonna go from what? Put them in the 5th grade. They won't see a dime of that 10 years from now. We're trying to help them now. I understand we got vacant buildings, but we done gave away so much from my understanding that, like I said last time, why does everybody come here and ask for 10? And that was my question last time. That sounds like it's the law. So my question is that the way it's gonna go? If we say 10, and you get done in 5 and don't do no more improvements, what happens? Are we bound by that through the chair?
So, Mr. Edwards, again, what currently is on the tax roll, they continue to pay. Whatever amount is added from improvement and investments, whether that takes 5 years, it takes 6 years, it takes 7 years, whatever is added will be paid in full after the 10-year expiration time. But the 10 years allows for the developer to recoup and get a return on the investment. Because if I'm putting 1.5, 1.6 million forward, then it's gonna take me some time to make that money back. So that just gives the developer the incentive to invest, knowing that I'm still paying in, I'm still paying taxes to the school, I'm still paying city income tax, I'm still paying property tax, I'm still paying water bill, but at the same time, I get some relief on the improvements that I'm putting in from the new money. In the city of Benton Harbor, I've been down here 10 years. And, you know, with the intensity of development, we have to be competitive and we have to be prepared to provide incentives and different innovative ways to bring developers so we can put more people on the tax roll to lighten the burden on the residents. Because the building, Madam Assessor, has set for how long? With no investment.
Well, as long as I've been here. So I don't know how much longer.
Since the electric company.
Right.
20 years.
Or has it been active under what?
All phase.
All phase? When was the last time all phase was operating?
About 10.
At least 10 years.
Over.
10 years.
So what the city is looking at is the opportunity to recapture or to capture more money, because as it was stated, what's currently on the books, they're going to continue to pay that. But if we'll get to what's on the books, but if I don't need an amen or witness corner, let's be professional. I'm asking. Hate to have to, you know, have people put out. Could you please bring up the current number?
Yeah.
If you have.
I was just looking up it. It looks like all phase might have gone out in 2009.
2009, so that's 11 years ago.
Yeah, I'm just piecing that together now. So which number did you want? I'm sorry.
What are they paying currently in taxes?
Almost $13,000 a year.
Nah.
Just turn your back and just board it up.
For 2000, that's what they paid in 2018. Yeah, like 13.9 something. If I add them together real quick.
13.9. So we're not talking about. So we stand to gain by allowing for them to develop and improve it, so we can get more money over time. But to sit and just be proud over nothing, $13,000, that's not gonna help the community. And the way, and as it's sitting now, to remain as it is, in the name of 3 years, 13 times 3, that ain't no money.
In addition to, if the building sits empty, it's gonna continue to deteriorate. And that's gonna lower the value as well. So as long as that building, everybody knows that buildings sitting empty are not really good for the buildings. They'll continue to age and deteriorate. The weather will get to them, and if they're not being maintained and upkept, the value is only going to go down. So that 13,000 would then decrease over time. It's not a solid 13,000 every year forever. It would decrease if nothing was done to the building.
So in 13 years or 10 years at 13,000, we would capture $130,000. Which is something. But after that, if an additional 50,000 or 60,000 was added moving forward, then the city would stand to gain more money, futuristic. Madam Clerk.
I just asked that we clarify the property address for the record.
The property address is 825 River Gate.
Commissioner Singleton?
Just a couple of questions. I heard somebody say the rate to be locked in at the end of 19 or the end of 20.
You mean what's
The taxable-
frozen?
No,
If they get the certificate, the abatement?
Yeah, the taxable value, which,
Well, we're already into 2020, so, and the state tax commission has not approved anything yet. So by the time the state tax commission would approve the abatement, we'd be well into 2020, so it would probably begin in 2021.
so what would be locked in? What year would be locked in?
Well, I did the paperwork earlier and I filled in the 2019 values, although again, once the state tax commission gets it, we're gonna be well into 2020, so that they will probably ask for updated 2020 values to lock in.
Do you anticipate any reassessments as to where it might possibly lower it or raise it? What?
Well, that is a possibility. The property owner asked me to come out, gosh, it was several months ago. I want to say it was like in May, before I even knew that any of this was coming down the line. So I did go look at the building and I walked through the building and stuff and made some notes of some possible adjustments for 2020 now.
Possible adjustments up or down?
Well, of course, down the building's not in that great a shape, and that was the whole reason why he asked me to come out and walk through it. Would it be adjusted down to his sales price of $150,000? When I look at it, I thought, that's extremely unlikely. It's a pretty big building, and I don't think there's really much I could do on my assessing side to force the value down that low. So I would say for sure, I'm not going to be assessing it at the sales price. Do I think it was too high before? I think, yeah, it probably was. But 2020 values are not done yet. All I could tell you is that it's not going as low as 150,000. But it's not going to increase from 2019 either. It definitely doesn't call for that.
Yes, sir.
There's a question of the investor. You stated earlier that you said that the building was what, $400,000, which taxable value, I'm sure. I mean, it's half. Usually, the assessed value is half of the market value. So you are.
Mr. Commissioner, I can't recall, she may have the taxable value in front of her, but I think it was in the $300,000 range.
Assessed value.
295.
Sorry, I'm pulling it up. I'm flipping back and forth.
That's fine. Want the actual
The,
facts.
Assessed value.
the 2019 assessed value is $295,600. The 2019 taxable value is $210,981.
So 295 is assessed, which means roughly $390,000. That's big.
That's $600,000 true cash. That the 2019 assessed value represents $600,000. That's why I think he invited me out there. He invited me out there before he even purchased the building. I mean, I don't think the property is worth $600,000 right now.
Well, wow. Not to put you on the spot, but what after the improvements or the rehab and everything, what are you looking for What do you think it might be? I mean, you've been in real estate for all these years, you say.
Yeah, 30 years plus, 30 plus years.
So what are you?
So the problem is, I'm clueless about Benton Harbor. Clueless. It's a crapshoot for me here. It is. And if you were to come in Chicago, I'll tell you all day long, based on my investments that I've done in Chicago, millions of dollars. But here, I have no idea. And am I going to get my investment back? No idea. I might lose my shirt here. Serious. And it could be the biggest mistake of my life coming here. You know, I'm with this building, and I'm committing to doing something with this building. And hopefully it's going to be something great for the community, not just people coming into the community, but the people that live here.
So you don't think it's going?
I hope it does.
I guess the question. You don't think it's going to go any lower? You're looking for everything to go up.
You know, I'm going to spend money, lots of money, to stabilize it and to make it valuable. It's my goal to take a non-performing asset and make it viable. That's what I do for a living.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seals.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I can't, and honestly, I don't like those kind of statements. My wife told me that 20 years ago. She still here, that she wanted to stay in New York City, but Benton Harbor proved to be a blessing 20 years later. I don't have a problem with the project. I don't have a problem with what you're doing. My only concern is this, and I'm great to hear our city assessor say that buildings that sit up and have no improvements, the value go down. So I would like the whole city of Benton Harbor to come to the board of review. Because that's a fallacy when you have people who bought homes in Benton Harbor come and yet beg every time at these tax tribunals, and then they have to go to tax tribunal and take us to court. I still say I'm grateful you bought the building, but let's not put out a false misnomer that this building was not getting taxes paid unless you didn't buy it from the county. You bought it from another investor. So an investor handed it off to another investor, and there was taxes paid on it. So let's quit the game like you got a property that's been dilapidated and nobody's been paying no taxes. The one, I didn't talk when you were talking. The problem was we had hustlers who were using LLCs to make money, who were gouging the city of Benton Harbor, and they've been doing it for years. So I'm not saying that this is what you're here for. I'm saying the 10-year cap, and I'm not saying in 7 years you can't come back and say, hey, Commissioner, I haven't made my money back, but the way this is now, that certificate goes with the property. If you decide to sell the property to somebody else and they come decide to invest, that certificate goes with the property, doesn't it? So if we grant that address that exemption, and the young gentleman decides to say forget Benton Harbor and go back to Chicago and you don't like it no more, which I guarantee that they're chomping at the bit to buy this property now with medical marijuana and recreational marijuana going buck wild everywhere. I would just ask, I mean, we've had, our assessor just found a group that lost their tax abatement, and she brought them back and got them hooked up, and we went retroactive on them. So I don't see nothing wrong with this either. Maybe we can adjust a year and the timing and say, hey, we'll give you 7 years. If you don't like Benton Harbor, hey, you gave us 7 years of your best. We gave you 7 years of our best. It didn't work. Or if the commission wants to say 10 years, then grant it. But if I would just suggest, and I think it would go better, and this is not the resolution time, this is only the hearing, because, it's funny, it sounds funny, that people
you know, they say a whole lot of things, how much they love the inner city, Benton Harbor. But every time you see people come, the head shake and the hand shake, and then they turn over the palm. I don't want nothing from you. Only thing I want you to do is do something for Benton Harbor and make sure that what you say you're gonna do, you get it done. Thank you for hiring locals, you've already done that. That's commendable. And I'm not talking about locals from township, I'm talking about locals from the inner city of Benton Harbor. You've done that. That's commendable. But I think that for too long is, if you help me, I'm good, but there's nothing you can help me do right now. Help the people. And you're doing that by hiring in the city. I say the numbers should be seen. If my colleagues don't agree, so move. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Chair recognizes Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. I did kind of crunch the numbers and I asked the assessor about it. And that was one of my concerns. What happens if it was mentioned in the other meeting that the property would be reassessed? So my concern was, how low can it go when gentrification is practiced in Benton Harbor? How low can the property go? There was 2 sales on that property. One from All Phase and one to the charter school. This charter school wanted to utilize that property and something happened. The charter school paid $100 for it, per the document I got from our assessors. And this gentleman paid $100,000 for it. But I can guarantee you that there was a study. Somebody said this was a good opportunity to make some money, though he wouldn't have came across the lake. He didn't probably never been to Benton Harbor. Somebody gave him some good advice that this was a half a block from the riverfront and 10 minutes from the lakefront. So I'm in agreement with Mayor Pro Tem to lessen the time. We went from 2 years to 105 years. And we all felt that was ridiculous. And one thing I know for sure, that when a community is hurting for money, the state hasn't been gone too that long. We've tried to get money from a lot of ways, and we need it. We need it now. We don't need it later. We need the money now. So we have to sacrifice. When a good business owner comes in and says, I want to develop this, we sacrifice and give him 5 years and let him come back and say how beautiful his project turned out to be and how many people from Benton Harbor really did enjoy his facility. I call for the question. I make a motion that we do.
We are
5
still in
years.
the public hearing.
Oh, public hearing. All right, hurry up. Because that's next. Take us out, that's next.
So, Mr. Manager, would you like to weigh in?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Let me just say to you, you said it yourself, and you said it very well. This is a competition game. And this abatement is a major tool in the toolbox for economic development. And we're not just talking about one business tonight, because other businesses are looking. So you get 4 or 5 of them, then you start saying, oh, okay, now I see what economic development is doing. You run this gentleman away and you see you won't get anybody. This property has been sitting there doing nothing but dilapidating. We're talking about our economic development. We need to focus on getting something going. You gotta, what I think is a good project. My economic development director has been involved in it from the beginning. And I've been watching it. I think we have a good project here. 10 years is not a long time in the economic development business, especially when all the other taxes are being paid.
Chairman recognizes the first ward commissioner who this development is in her ward.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd just like to say, I do support this project. As a member of this community for a long time, we've talked about business and economic development coming to our community, and that's happening. And so we need to recognize when that's happening. There are a lot of voices in the gallery that have something to say about this or that. It's time out for the fighting and to embrace what's happening in our community, because change is going to happen whether we want it to or not. We don't even own that property. We don't even own it. The city of Benton Harbor doesn't even own that property. People can do whatever they want to with their property. We're trying to entice businesses to come into this community and help make Benton Harbor great, as we always talk about. Right now, that's not the case, especially in the inner city. We want this development to start there and to go up that hill. I've been talking about that for a long time, but we need people here. There's people that's been in this community, ain't done jack, and they always got something to say at that mic every week. Ain't done jack, ain't invested jack in this community, but they mouth. And time out for running your mouth if you ain't got no money right now. Time out for running your mouth with no money. Mouth and money ain't got nothing to do with each other if you ain't got it. And there's plenty of people running their mouth and ain't got nothing to put on it. Ain't got fire to put on it, as they say. Put fire on it and stop running your mouth. Thank you.
I want to thank you, Commissioner Henderson. I can support this project. I think that the Mayor Pro Tem certainly has a valid point. But 7 years, 10 years, we're looking at $130,000, 59,000 off of that. Because 13 times 3 is 39,000. So I would hate to see 39,000, which is no money, scuttle a project that could possibly, bring the city of Benton Harbor for 10, 15 years, 20 years. But again, as the city manager said, this is just an example. This is on YouTube. We have people watching this all around the world, and if they see that Benton Harbor is open and ready to do business, the city government has matured to where they are creating an environment where people from Chicago, New York, Miami, DC can come in and partner with the city, hire residents, pay into the tax base. Now we have a thriving, not just a surviving community, but a thriving community, sustainable. So in development, 10 years is as they say, in the wind. So, and I appreciate public comment is coming next, so people will be able to voice their comments in the public. But I think this is an excellent opportunity for the city. That's a beautiful corner, as Mayor Commissioner Yarbrough stated. That's a major curb appeal that we could use to spur millions of dollars in development. But every long journey starts with a first step. So, we welcome the voices, but at the same time, know. Bring your investment. Bring your idea. Bring your, not coming asking for nothing. Because there's two people in the room. The person with the idea and the person with the money.
Pay taxes. Really?
And we love your taxes.
I know you do. That's why you just really.
But your taxes ain't enough to keep this city going. We need to bring more taxes in this city so we can lessen the burden on the residents. But otherwise, it'll continue to tank and go down if we don't get new money. Not taxes from a house paying $500 a year. We need to get money in here. I'm not talking personal and I'm not talking direct. I'm just making the point. We need to bring tax base. That's the issue. The city does not have the tax base to run in 2020. So we need to bring in new development. I can support this development. 10 years. Yes, ma'am. I'd like to open up for public comment. Thank you, Commissioner Adams.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm glad that you allowed the public to speak. For the last 15 years, when you talk about money, what has the inner city really seen? Yeah, there has been hundreds of millions of dollars that have been invested in this city. But yet it's still the inner city has not come along with the downtown, with the riverfront project. There's been a lot of individuals other than individuals that are at this alliance, because alliance means to align around you, that have came in, that wanted to bring business, that have been rejected with money. So I understand that the handlers have made it to where you have to have their vision and not the vision for those who you say you serve. We are familiar with that. This is why racial equity is so important, because there's a lot of dollars that's coming through this community, and $100,000 for a 10-year period ain't really no money. That's a slap in the face, if you really want to look at it. You have individuals and entities that have came through here, and like I said, you got a $1 billion corporation on Main. You got a golf course, but yet the inner city is suffering. The school system is suffering. And you talk about money coming in. The money is not coming in to serve those people who you say that you're serving. You know, fair exchange ain't never been a robin. I ain't never been against change. But when change is the illusion of inclusion, that's what it's an illusion. You know, when you talk about a tax break, everybody that they got tax break, at the end of the tax break, we have no breaks. So we got to just be real with ourselves. You know, the same thing when you gave the Shores a tax break, and they don't even want to give you the money that they owe you. They talk about it's not worth what it was, but you want to sit around and talk about who got some money. You know, I ain't gonna sell my soul. You know, when you talk about money, money don't. If money is the root of your title and what you strive for, I understand that the handlers will forever give you something. They'll give you something because they know that you're going to have their agenda at hand. You know, when you talk about being real, it's been time out. It's been 20 years that this city has been suffering. The emergency manager, yeah, I agree, he came through and sold everything to those particular ones. But when you talk about real change, change comes if you want to do something for the inner city. How can you even have a blueprint, roadmaps that is never included the inner city? So when we talk about being real, money is real money. But I know there's a lot of developers that have come through here that don't have to be in an alliance in order to get things done. You just have to go out and be able to pull those developers here. When you talk about people with money, yeah, this riverfront, Joe Dick said it 20 years ago. That riverfront probably worth money. And yet still we've sold our souls because we have individuals that have an agenda. Yeah, like you said, yeah, it's going to happen anyway. But you can't give them the tools to make it happen by selling out to people. Thank you.
Amen.
You guys want to comment on that? First, I'd like to make the statement about how easy it is for you guys to attack the citizens in the audience. That's not good. Camera catching it, and it knows who you are and what you're doing. If you got a problem with the citizens, talk to us after the meeting. You don't want us talking in the meeting, so talk to us after the meeting. Tell us we ain't got 5 on it after the meeting. Because you'd be surprised at the people who do have 5 on it, but the whole program didn't even come to us. We never knew about the building. We knew about it being for sale. Never knew nothing because it was all under wraps for Cornerstone, for Whirlpool, because nobody want to say those names. Just say Whirlpool. That'll do me. I understand it because I know that's all we bow down and jump in our little monkey suits with. Put more polish on our face. All kind of stuff to please somebody. Could you imagine 105 years? Could you imagine 10 years for somebody with some money coming in talking about we want it, but we'll give you that end of the money in 10 years? We have to have some balls or something. Know when it's time to hold them and know when it's time to fold them. I think the project would be great if they came in the right door, but they come in the back door and we put on our suits and ties and we like skinning and grinning and like, it's okay, yeah, whatever you said, massive, it's okay. But it's another day and time, and the citizens of Benton Harbor do need help. And we're not being considered, really at all. How do we change that? How do we change us as a people when somebody else is coming through the back door kicking us in our ass?
Point of order. You're out of order.
Okay, I'm back in order. When do we stop bowing down? When do we stop tap dancing and shoe shuffling and skinning and grinning? When do we stop doing that? Because the citizens see it. Yeah, they vote. They vote you in. I'm saying they, but let me switch that around. We vote you in, and we will gladly vote you out when the time comes. If you're not totally, that's how I voted for.
Thank you,
that's how
sir.
I voted for any and all of you, is because you said
Thank
you're
you.
totally for and about the
Thank you,
citizens.
Mr. Duncan.
And when you're not, then it's a problem with
Thank
Mr.
you.
Duncan. Thank you.
I don't really have to repeat too much of what your own citizens have said, and I know I'm not a resident here, but I've been coming down here longer than most of you have been sitting in those chairs. And the one consistent thing, and I don't care what anybody thinks, my heart belongs to the people of this city. I've never sided for something that would not help them. We know what the plan is for that riverfront. Is just, it's gonna be so encroaching upon the most beautiful property we have. And, you know, like I said, I've been coming down here longer than most of you have been sitting here. And I've been seeing the best properties given away, tax abatements given away to a multi-billion-dollar corporation who doesn't need a tax abatement. And the thing that just grips me is Cornerstone Alliance is Whirlpool's nonprofit for economic development. And this is what you send the people to ask, and James is right. Bow down, because that's what you always do. And it breaks my heart because the people here are beautiful, strong, intelligent people who don't get a break. Not from Cornerstone Alliance. I can promise you that. I know too many people who have tried to start businesses here, and I'm gonna say it, based on the color of their skin, they are denied. I've seen people trying to build stores. Well, that went on kibosh too. And it just strikes me funny that you can have all these, and I'm gonna go there, European people coming in here that don't live here, and then they run up the damn tax base, and I'm not cussing, look it up in the dictionary. And they bring in gentrification, which displaces the people who live here. They make it hard for them to get a job. You got to pay Harbor Shores to volunteer to work for them? What is that? What about the jobs they were supposed to provide? You think this guy's gonna help? He's not gonna help. You better wake up. This has been happening, like I said, I've been coming down here a long time. Ever since I've been coming down here, this has been happening. The best of Benton Harbor, that's what they want. But the ones that are struggling, the ones that are having a hard time making ends meet, they don't want them. They don't want you at the end of the day. That cup of coffee you thought could make you, I could run for mayor in St. Joe, I had a cup of coffee. Ah, they're laughing at you. Laughing at you.
That was the truth. Absolutely.
And you know it. I don't lie. Good evening, everyone. One of the things that I sort of do look for, and I do want to see our community grow and be strengthened economically. But the one thing that I see over the years that I've come down here and I saw all of the businesses that came in, I saw that they always wanted a tax break. Now, we're suffering here. We've been in at a disadvantage for many years. Our schools is failing. Our community is looking in such a way that it really disturbs me. And when I see a lot of people come in and present their project of rehabilitating and bringing something to Benton Harbor, so many times they got, don't know how many wealthy people that is investing in that project that's coming. And when they get those tax breaks, by the time they end up where that tax break comes, they sell it to someone else. Then that's the whole wheel going around again. So we need to really put some black and white power and think. So many times people play with words. They say, are you going to stand in the way of perhaps progress? This might be the wonder, this might be the greatest thing that's happening. This might, or this could, but it will. That's definite when you got it in black and white. And then look for the little fine points that people put in because they figure that you won't notice that you're looking at the bigger thing, thinking this is the answer. So we've got to pay close attention to words. That's what lawyers and all these minded people that look for all these different breaks and get ahead. They look for this little fine tune and figure that we're so anxious that we overlook the fine words that they use. We've got to stop that. And we find some people like they said, well, this is gonna bring money. Some of them don't even be homeowners. They're not even invested in the city themselves. So now, let's take time to think things through when people bring us what they're gonna do. Look at in the past, what has happened. People elected you all to make good decisions and allow us to speak to you and not make us feel bad to even come and say anything as in reference to whatever is happening in the city. We want to feel free to do that. And I think can you allow us to have our own opinion without saying we don't have anything, because who could say that we haven't given? I know I have.
Thank you, Ms. Kanai.
When you're giving your best, that's all you can give.
I'd be remiss if I didn't take just a few more minutes to thank you, first of all. I think it's important for you to understand that Kathy and I appreciate, Ms. Tilley and I appreciate the conversation we've had here tonight, the questions that have been asked. We have all gotten a better understanding tonight of tax abatement, which is extremely complicated. Your questions tonight, Commissioner, I think help better educate and make things more transparent. And I think that's important for everybody to understand, because Mr. Rogatz is one of the only developers on that Riverview Drive, along with the bread bar. His project is going to help bring more people. And I think Ms. Kennard is right when she says that people have a way of manipulating people's words. And I want to be very crystal clear to this commission tonight, so there's no ambiguity in our statement. Every single time a developer comes to Benton Harbor on Riverview Drive, they're going to be asking for these tools. And it is my hope that we are here every commission meeting for the rest of the year asking for your help in bringing more projects to Riverview Drive and other projects in Benton Harbor to utilize these tools, because we want more people. That's what we're actively doing, working with people like Mr. Rogatz and other developers for that great property on Riverview Drive. We all believe there's an opportunity there. So I just want to make it clear that all of the developers are going to ask to utilize these tools. And we don't mind coming here and spending as much time as it requires, asking questions and answering, and all getting a better understanding from the assessor how these things work. So we're here to help. We're here to answer any questions you have. But just know, it is my hope that we're here more and more often to bring new projects in front of you guys for your consideration.
I see it. I'm trying to make sure I make myself perfectly clear. How many of you stay in the city of Benton? Because I know for a fact, if you ride through this city, it wouldn't look like it. I ride through it almost every other day, and there's no reason for this city to look like this. There's no reason for it. I have to ride in the middle of the road on Britain and go down the street. I'm waiting on the police to stop me so I can come here. You can feel the hole. And I ride on my side of the road. It's sad, but it's true. And it don't take no whole lot of money to fix everything. It takes communication to fix it all, and prayer. I just want to know why nothing's getting done. I mean, we passed the city of Texas, and I see holes on Britain Street. My car fell in one. And I called the police department. They said, well, hey, that's the road. But we passed the city of Texas. We do what we can with what we have. And you better believe, it's people in Benton Harbor got more than $5 to put on it. But if they put their $5 out there, they're not gonna get the same results. We know that already. We know that. You sold Alder a security system. They gave you $1,000 to go door to door in the city. The reason why I know that, I didn't talk to them personally. I said, why would they let you go door to door in Benton Harbor? You can go door to door in St. Joe. He said, well, we paid to come walk door to door. We paid them $1,000 so we can walk the city. That's why you walk through 90. And it's amazing how everything got to be evolved around money. It don't take anything for you to communicate and love each other and be good neighbors and say, hey, I'm fixing my yard. You need help doing yours. I had to beg, literally beg Public Works to pick up trash on Highland Street because I like to get hit by a car. They had the trash piled up so high. I like to get hit by a car. So I had to come down here and beg them to come pick the trash up. I don't pay as much for taxes as Whirlpool, but I'm just as bad as Whirlpool because I live in the city and I love the city. And if you take those glasses off and take that $5 on it, take all that stuff you got, drive down the city of Benton Harbor and see how bad it looks. It ain't about the money. It's about the responsibility that you carry for the citizens of Benton Harbor. Because the $5 be gone tomorrow.
I just want to let the committee know that I worked my butt off since I was a kid. And I started a business when I was in 5th grade, cutting grass in my neighborhood. And I grew that business to something special by the time I graduated high school. I worked for everything I've earned. I was never given anything. I'm not one of these big developers, as some people might allude to, that just come in and take. I'm a single guy. My company, my LLC is me. That's it. There's no other investors. It's just me. I'm putting my livelihood here. I'm putting a risk. I didn't do any research on, oh, it's going to make money. When I bought this building, I bought it to try and rent it out and make some money. And I can't rent it out. So now I'm forced to do something or let it sit like the other investor. And then I will be forced to sell it and it'll be in more disrepair. And then I'll lose what I have into the building. I don't want to do that. So I'm forced to try to improve it, okay? And when I bought this building, I'm like, I approached Jack Campbell, who I inherited from the other investor, the other owner. And I approached Jack and I said, Jack, let's try to clean this building up. And so he said, yeah, I know some kids in the area that I can employ and help. And I said, let's do it. I love that idea. And so I've spent thousands of dollars giving money to Jack and these kids, not giving, but hiring them. And they did work for me and they did a good job. Okay? And I want to do more of that. Not just for the kids, but for all of Benton Harbor. You know, it's not like I have a crew of people from Chicago and I'm importing them and I'm going to have them do the work. You know, I'm going to employ people from Benton Harbor, people like these people in the audience that are here. And if they need jobs and I have a job for you, I'll give it to you. And I'll give you a fair price. So, you know, I'm not a big developer and a nasty guy. I've got a wife and a kid, you know, and I'm just like lots of you guys. I don't get it. So I'm here to help Benton Harbor, okay? And I hope you're open arms. And if you're not, well, okay, that's your choice.
How y'all doing tonight?
Peaceful.
Really?
I am.
Okay. Well, I think we should look at this thing from God's standpoint. I think God is working all up and down the shores of Michigan.
You're right.
They done put these $1 million houses up because they got $5 on them. They got 500,000 on them. They go all up and down Michigan. Chicago, to Benton Harbor, probably past that. But what is God doing? God is working in mysterious ways and knocking them right out them houses, right in the water if they don't get that up out of there, right? God is moving in different directions.
Yes, he is.
You see, pay attention to what God is doing. You claim you believe in God or Allah or somebody. Well, pay attention to what your God is doing. These rich European developers being knocked right out their houses. God don't care about their babies that's in the house. Huh? All the college money that's probably saved up to them to go to college from the house and come back to it in the summer. God don't care. Huh? Pay attention to what God is doing. All up and down, since we talk about waterfront properties, God knocking the white folks right up out of here.
they get an eviction notice, whether they want one or not. That's what you got to pay attention to, because God controls it all, so you say. Say you believe in Jesus. Say you believe in God. God controls the weather. Well, look at all the erosion of the waterfront property. God doing that. So if you don't get yourself lined up with God, maybe the $5 you put on it. We'll see where that goes. Huh? So God putting a whole lot more than 5 on it. God said, get your stuff and get up out of here. Because I don't care where you go, you create heaven. Let's not act like Europeans don't create a whole bunch of habits wherever they do go. That's why God giving them their eviction papers. This is God doing this. Now, if y'all go home and go to sleep, not care about what God is doing, that's fine. But God gonna have the last say. Know that. You can overlook the people and act like we don't need some little place to go by the water, just sit down and have some sodas, without being bothered about polices running all up and down the streets, because we over there just want to sit out where we live at. I'm so sick of Europeans running all over everywhere, all over the world, running everything because we need some money. There's enough churches around here. Huh? We got tithe money. Well, we got all money ain't good money. And when government understand that, then they'll start treating the people right, and it won't be always about the corporations. Got 5 on.
And I ain't no Dr. Reverend, nothing. I'm just Rod. I'm from 959 Pavone Street. I do agree that we always start with God first and do our best to look at things from his perspective. Ultimately, I push and I do want a black Wall Street here in Benton Harbor and all over the world. I love stuff that Akon and those kind of brothers are doing. Yeah, we do have plenty of churches and mosques in Benton Harbor, and we are 95% black. For the fact, just a few facts. Fact is, first group of 4 people come to my mind is Leonard C. Wood, Brother Marvin Hagline, Brother Lark, and Brother Terry Stokes. They pulled their money together. Yeah, they had money. Okay, so let's set that precedence. They pulled their money together. They expanded Brother Lark's business. Now, brothers and sisters that have come, I'm not going to speak. I only been woke civically and governmentally just for 10, 12 years. Going back, brothers and sisters that were turned down and declined, that's a tragedy. We got enough power in this room for that to never happen. So I'm only going to speak for, I'm not going to speak too much to yesterday. I'm only going to speak for now in the next 40 seconds that I got. We got the power to do anything we want to do. We got enough spiritual leaders, enough business leaders to do anything we want to do in this. If we don't have the money, we can go get the money. If we're really serious, yeah, I agree with Sharon. She reminded me of my father, God rest his soul, Big Seal. Big Seal told you straight up what is and what ain't. Who didn't like it, it was just tough. Fact of the matter is that I can come and run in my mouth all I want. If I'm not coming with ideas, then I need to shut up. That's a fact. So either bring it or don't. Either bring it or don't. But it's a time for us to bring it.
We got the resources. We got the resources, and just in this room alone, to come together and put our resources and put our ideas together and do whatever we want to do in this city.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm not gonna speak against this business. I'm not gonna speak against any business. What I am gonna say is that trickle down don't work for us. What I am gonna say is that maybe you'll look and say, oh, she owed the water bill, so she ain't smart. We're not gonna listen to her. She don't have $5 on it. I got an education. I made sacrifices to come back home. I had a raise and a contract before I came back home. So to say that we don't have anything to offer because we come back home and the doors are closed, well, you all have the power to open them. But you're not opening them for us. You can today. It's a different attitude when it comes to us. There's a silence, a sickening silence when we talk about moving forward for us. And there's an excitement and enthusiasm when it comes to others, and I'm not against others. But what I'm saying is, when you have a millionaire that comes to town and asks for a tax break, what happens is money that you could have gotten up front to take care of your people, you don't get it. And then you blame your people for not having. So don't compare yourselves to any other city. This is a city that's been disinvested in. This is a city that struggled with redlining. This is a city that struggled with the aftermath of slavery, and to blame this city for not having the money to put to the ideas is not fair. No, I'm absolutely not against any business. But what I am saying is that at some point, we're gonna have to talk seriously about raising some taxes so that we can take care of the people who are forgotten, who are ignored, who are pushed to somebody else's door to keep asking for permission. At some point, we're gonna have to stand up and be just as excited about our people who were born and raised here or who care about here as you are about everybody else. The time is now. Opportunities, they come and they go, but they won't stay. And so I'm just curious what's gonna happen on the first meeting in City Hall in Benton Harbor, the first week of Black History Month. Are we gonna remember we Black?
This brings us to the declaration of the public hearing being closed. This brings us to the consent calendar items. Are there any items that should be separated?
Honorable Mayor, I asked tonight that we do suspend the rules, either add racial equality or equity committee to this agenda or bring it to the next committee meeting. Thank you.
City manager has already requested that the racial equity, number one, the racial equity is a contract that never was put out for proposal. The city of Benton Harbor never put out a request for proposal for services for racial equity. So that's number one.
Got a point of clarity. It's a yea or nay.
But we can't even vote on that.
But if it's nay, then let's move forward and bring it to a committee.
Right, but I have to explain why, so people won't leave in ignorance. Because I have to educate on why we can't even vote on that. We can't vote on a contract that has not been a request for proposal. No RFP was ever put out for those services. So that cannot even be. So what we will do is recommend it to Planning Economic Development Committee. As the city manager requested, so it can be vetted by staff, by the public, and by the committee. So what's on the consent calendar, are there any items that should be separated? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seeks.
Separate adopt the resolution approving commercial rehabilitation exempt certificate application for the 2005 amendment.
Support. There's no need to support it.
Okay.
That's the only item. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Henderson. Discussion.
Can we get, what I asked for in here about, reverting back? Can we amend the resolution?
So when you say reverts back,
If the property in its duration of being in a rehabilitation district is not utilized or operated for the purpose intended, up until that point, that it will not, that it loses its status as a rehabilitated district. That it loses its status if it's not operating for the purposes intended, lose its status or revert back to, which makes it a non-rehabilitated district within that period of time.
so if the commercial district is granted, which I already have, but if the exemption is granted of 10 years, if for whatever reason the developer was to sell it.
Exactly. That the rehabilitation doesn't follow. That it reverts back to its originality. That's simple.
Which would be what it is.
Exactly.
Right. So
Exactly.
I want to refer to the city attorney.
Your Honor, the only way that I believe by statute you can put exceptions on this is in the event that you condition the time frame for something less than 10 years. So Mayor Pro Tem suggested 7 years. So you could put it on for 7 years, and as a condition of extending it to the maximum of, you could put it on for 7 years. And as a condition of extending it beyond the 7 years to say 10 years, cannot exceed 10 years, you could put some conditions on it. But that's the only event that I can see pursuant to the statute.
That works. Just add a condition.
So what would the condition be?
That if the property is not utilized for the purpose that it solely came in here for during the time of the abatement, it reverts back.
Did you hear the attorney?
Yes. He said 7, and if it exceeds to 10. I heard what he said.
So.
I'm not an attorney, but I heard what he said.
Right, but I'm just, because you're still saying reverts back.
Reverts back. That's simple.
You can't revert back.
The status of accepting this as a rehabilitated district solely for the purpose of
Develop.
not just for development, but it's allowing it under that status. Those captured,
Right, but as he was saying, the only exception that we could make is if we said we will grant it for 7 years, with the possible extension to 10 years. But we can't say, if we grant it for 7 years and the developer sold it in 2 years, it can't revert back by statute.
I don't, that's not satisfactory. Because if you can put a stipulation on a 7, you should be able to put it on 10.
Well, it's capped at 10. Meaning it can't.
Oh, okay, so it loses its rehabilitation status, period, anyway, in the 10-year frame of existence.
Well, the whole purpose of for us.
Okay, then yes or no? We keep it simple, yes or no?
However, whatever number we put on there, whether it's 7 years, 8 years, 10 years, that's what it is.
Okay, and it becomes null and void after that.
After it expires, then
If it expires, okay,
yes.
good enough, all right.
Thank you, Commissioner. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I think that, beloved attorney had a report tonight, and I appreciate that report, saying that 7 years would be good. Just point of clarity. This young gentleman who just sat before us said he don't know if he might even be moving forward because of the cost of it.
That's not what he said.
YouTube.
That's not.
All right, well, Honorable Mayor, maybe I misheard. I have to check back on the record. But that's what it sounded like to me. I think 7 years is a good period of time. I wouldn't care if you made a haunted house or escape room or whatever. If you put millions of dollars in it and people are employed, and people are getting that property adjusted and we're getting taxes off of it. The problem I do have is that we make statements about money not meaning that much, but this property is going to be valued tremendously more than this value now, which means your taxable value is going to go up. It's going to happen. So we cannot, there's no way to ballpark figure how much money you're going to get without the development being done. If he threw if the developer threw $3 million in the building, how can we say it's only going to be a $3,000 profit and then timed it by a certain amount of time? You can't do that. I mean, the SEV is the estimated value of the property, but there's also a part that we have to look at, that if another investor comes, maybe they don't need the tax break. Maybe they say we don't want it. But in the 7 years, there's nothing that stops them from coming back in 5 years and saying, hey, can I get another 5-year extension? Can I get another extension? It's never stopped anybody else from coming. When we had Atlantic Automotive, they came and swore they were going to hire more people and give us another tax break. That never happened. Nobody ever followed up and said nothing. So I think that in these time capsules, we need to cut them. And then give the next commissioner opportunity who might have better quality of sense to say whether they want the same thing or not. And that's not a slap in the face to anybody, because there's young people coming behind us. I never would have wanted to inherit a 99-year tax exemption. But we were forced with some things. Water lines that were given away, things that were sold. I never would have agreed with that. But we inherited it, and then we said that we'll never do that again. But yet and still, we're drinking from the same river. So I would just say, let's come cap down these time capsules. And in 7 years, the gentleman, I believe, is gonna do good work because he's passionate about it. He can come back and say, hey, can I get another 3 years? Can I get another 5? We work excellent together. But what if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't happen? Then we're still saying the same thing. We want developers here. We're chasing build. Nobody chasing them. If we chase people away, Whirlpool wouldn't be down the street right now.
Lord.
Houndstooth is here. All these other developments are here that Arts District is yet building. Peter Calova's yanked you for a whole lot of property with tax exemption in mind. And we ain't talking about reversion for him. So, I mean, let's go plan. 7 years. Please.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Harrelson on the fourth ward.
Thank you, Your Honorable Mayor. I'd like to say, I agree with a lot of my colleagues, and I certainly agree with the citizens because they spoke from the heart. When they first came to the commission, I think, if I'm not sure, he said he's going to bring a lot of people and a lot of money to Benton Harbor. So what happened to the lot of peoples and what happened to a lot of money? But I do agree with the 7 years. I will vote for the 7 years. But we have to be careful because some things you say, you have to stick to it. And some things you don't say that we will never know. But I'm pretty sure when you first came, you said we're going to bring lots of money, lots of people from Chicago. So that telling me that they're going to bring a lot of money and lots of people, that means they're going to make money. So what we need to do is put a stipulation on something and go ahead and do whatever we want to do tonight. That's it. Thank you.
Make a move.
I think that, 10 years, 7 years, to do nothing is unacceptable. I want to see the building developed. I want to see that corner thriving. I want to see residents having access. I want to see people coming from out of town. I want to see Mayor Charles Yarborough Park underutilized. I want to see that come up. It's underutilized. That's a beautiful park. But that has to be developed. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. It has to be developed. But I wasn't talking when you was talking. So I need for you, sir, to be quiet.
And I need you to understand where the citizens.
Mr. Officer, I hate to have you put out.
What else you want to do?
Sir, I hate to have you put out.
That's what
but you've been talking and disruptive
the
whole night.
So
I'm going to ask you.
You want to direct it to
I am directing it to you.
Well,
I'm asking you to be quiet when you don't have the floor. And that's for everybody. Thank you, Mr. Duncan.
Thank you.
So something needs to be done on that corner. So again, 7 years, 10 years, I'm not going to go back and forth in no contest about those two numbers. Whatever the will of the commission is, but we need to do something. Because 3 years, 7 years, in the scheme of what needs to be done in Benton Harbor, that's nothing. It's nothing. And it's really petty, but be it as it may. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Just quickly, when that time is up, does it have the ability, does the business owner have the ability to come and ask for an extension or to reapply for another.
City attorney.
Thank you, Your Honor. The statute reads, if the number of years determined as less than 10, the certificate may be subject to review by the legislative body, the qualified local government unit, and the certificate may be extended. Now, the maximum length of the certificate is 10 years.
Okay. Call for the question.
So we need to modify, to the pro tem, Mayor Pro Tem.
I would ask that we modify it. I don't want to be petty for 7 to 10. So I'll say 5. I think 5 is a better number than, because 7 to 10 is a little too close.
I say.
5 years.
7 to 10 is not that far. You were right in correcting your statement, Uncle Mayor. You said that 7 years is petty between the 3 years, and that's, I agree with you. So why don't we just say
5 years is not enough time to even grant for somebody to put that kind of money into it.
So
the 7 years, I think that's a minimum.
I make a motion to amend. 7 years will be fine.
You already got a motion, and I support it.
You support the 5?
I supported the 5.
7.
I know what I supported. He said 5, and I supported it.
Can I amend my resolution? Can I amend it?
You said 5. Second by Commissioner Henry for 5. Right.
But can now we amend the resolution?
What do you want to
Do I
amend
have
to?
the ability to amend the resolution? Just to the attorney, do I have the ability to amend the resolution?
Well, the clerk should be able to answer that, but I believe you can amend your motion to 7.
You know what?
I amend it to 7 if possible.
I second.
Okay. Ready for the roll call on the motion?
Yes.
7 years.
Do I make a debate? Do I make any comment on that motion?
It's already been seconded.
Well, that's why I need to be able to say something about it. I know it's been seconded. It's a motion on the floor. It's debatable, Chair.
What's debatable?
Go ahead. Have at it.
Thank you so much. So if it's 5 years
It's 7 years.
or 7 years, there you go again, Mayor. I believe you gave me the floor and you still interrupted me. Thank you. May it be 5 years or 7 years. If this business is really, and I believe that when businesses come to Benton Harbor, they make it. And this is part of the harbor project, one that we haven't even approved yet, but that's in their plan already for this development through the harbor project. We haven't even approved it yet, but they're coming. They know it's going to be a successful business right there. How could it not be? And if it goes up the hill, I have a feeling that the people are going to have a big, big uprising if the project keep going up the hill. I don't think it's going up the hill like Commissioner Henderson said. We better stop it right there because after that it's the high school. So 7 years, I call for the vote.
Commissioner Henry, this is with 7 years.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seat,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
No.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad,
Yes.
motion carries.
This brings us to staff comments. Chair recognizes City Assessor Story.
Thank you. In the next couple of weeks, the 2020 values will be finalized and we'll be printing and mailing out assessment notices. When you get your assessment notice, if you have any questions at all, give my office a call. I'll do my best to explain things. And also, if you would like an appointment for the March Board review, give us a call at that time that you receive your notice, and we'll set you up with an appointment to speak with the board review. Thank you.
Chair recognizes our Deputy Director of Public Safety, Deputy Clark.
Nothing from public safety this evening.
Chair recognizes our City Attorney, Attorney Hearn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No report.
Chair recognizes our Community Development Director.
No report this evening, Your Honor.
Chair recognizes City Clerk Thompson.
We have absentee ballots available in the office for the March 10th presidential primary election.
Thank you. Chair recognizes City Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no comments tonight.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Harrelson.
Thank you, Your Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank the citizens for coming out, seeing your government and acting on tonight. And don't think that we don't hear each and every one of you when you get up and tell us how you feel. So we like to congratulate our new project and hope it goes well. And keep coming. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to thank the citizens for coming out. And it is a new day. And if we don't vote from the bottom up, because the top down don't work, and we're a home rule community, we can do the things that we need to make us sustainable. And so when you see us voting against you, I want you to remember that when it comes to the polls. We cannot bypass the fact that it's happened in the past. And if you see it continue to happen, if we don't take a stop and go back 180 degrees or 360 degrees and start all over and make it from the bottom up, it's our fault. And it's your fault for not making us. Thank you for coming out and be in power and keep your eyes on the prize, because the money is here. Medical marijuana, recreation marijuana, everything is booming except Benton Harbor. Hartford opened up, Niles opened up. They're everywhere. And we still standing at the corner. Make us do it. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. First of all, let me thank the citizens for coming out. Mr. Rogat, I can encourage you by saying this, and it's public information, and I think somebody referred to it, the Sustainable Harbor Project. Now, me, myself, if I know that the Harbor Project is coming along, and there's 3 different entities, except for it's on our side. Then there's other business that's coming along. They all want to build on our side. I got it. Chicago, they're 40 years, 36 years in the educational system, president of a school. So I know how all that goes, negotiations, all that. No businessman with experience is going to look down the road and say, I can't make no money and build anyway. So either me being on these different committees, Harbor Project, either they lying to me or they know money coming. And I know they ain't lying to me because they steady trying to build. So money coming. That's my encouragement words to you. You won't even need the 7 years. You won't need the 7 because the money coming. Somebody referred to what's going on in the county. Marijuana. It's coming. So, to the citizens, I want to say that, and to us, and I'm actually speaking to us. I find it kind of odd that we would ask for jobs, economic growth, and all this other stuff, but when we get companies that come in, and I'm thinking of the cannabis industry, we should have been first in the county.
We were.
We were. Ain't no dispensaries open.
Exactly.
Now, if you take a look and you do the math, how much money have they made? We could have been first. There could have been jobs already going, but then we lock it down when we ask for them to come. Now, I don't know why the reason we locked it down. I had no idea what it. Here's the other one. We asked our citizens to get involved. And then when they do get involved, they got to get involved the best way that they know how. That's how I started. And when they come in the best way they know how, we should kind of present something to them and say, hey, look, I tell you what, you might not be interested in running for commissioner or mayor or president or whatever. But let me give you a little bit of what we do up here with this. Because I get citizens who tell me, I have no idea what you guys talking about on their YouTube. Especially when you come to different words, assessment, feasibility, abatement. So of course those citizens is going to be quiet because they're kind of nervous to say anything because they don't even know what that word means in the first place. That's why I consider myself a common denominator commissioner. I know exactly all that language. Don't get it twisted. I know about Title I, Title II, 75, all of it. But I'm making sure that there are citizens, especially seniors, especially young folks, especially middle-aged, don't know those words. I'm going to break it down to them. And either you're going to help me or I'm going to just be the different odd man out. Thank you very much. Make sure that you understand.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just like to thank everybody for coming out tonight and hearing your local government in action. I've been on this commission, I think it's going on, this is my third term. And I first got into politics as a young woman. I was in my early 20s when I first ran against McCoy, and I lost my first vote, 4 votes my first election out running for politics. And I got involved because I wanted to make a difference in my community. And it's looked different ever since. And so one of the things that I've learned, and I've had relatives who actually sat on this board as well, and in other key places in Benton Harbor. One thing I've learned since I've been here, I will not be strong-armed, I will not be cajoled, and as one young man said, I will speak my mind and what I feel like what is best for the community. I'm not here to make friends. If you don't like me, I'm okay with that. I've always been the odd man out, and I will continue to do so and to vote and to make decisions that I feel are in the best interest of the residents. Sometimes we see things that you guys don't see. We hear things sometimes that you don't hear. And to suggest that people are going to backdoor meetings, I ain't been to a backdoor meeting, but like I said, I'm the odd man out. There's probably more people sitting here who have been to a backdoor meeting, but Commissioner Henderson has always been an odd man out. Not only an odd man out, proud to be that, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna always do what I think is right, regardless of what anybody thinks. And in doing so, this project, along with many others, as we talked about racial and economic equality in the city, we're our Black community. So most of the people that work in our community, most people that sit in elected office, most people that work in our police department, many of them are Black people. And so we're saying that we want racial equality in an all-Black city. So we need to look at the economic side of racial equality, as somebody alluded to. The process right now is going through those people who are getting dollars who are not serving people in our community. And then speaking with our economic development director, that's one of the things that she's honed into doing, looking at those programs that are not serving people in our community. That's where we're going to make things right at in our community to address those issues. But just like many of you, we care about this city. I'm a taxpayer in this city. I didn't have to live here. We didn't have to buy a house in this city. It wasn't cheap to buy a house in this city. We could have went right over to Fairfax or into the township to buy a property. But we bought a property here in the city of Benton Harbor because we wanted to. We had options after we got our credit right. And we were able to put 5 on it. That was by choice. And that was a decision that we made. And so when you're looking at people, you're absolutely right. You need to hold people accountable. There's people who've been here for years and who have done absolutely nothing but talk. Have talked. So thank you for coming out. And please stay engaged. You're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, staying engaged. But again, I'm preaching to the choir because most of you people are engaged in our community, and thank you for that.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Yes, the Mayor Pro Tem profit, 7 years, that's the number of completions. So maybe after the 7 years, the project is completed. Then you don't have to come back to ask for the extra 3 years. I know, in something about economic development, and I know that you have to, it's like an investment. You have to, you got to spend some or you got to give some to make something else happen. So, get things rolling. But again, we have to hold everybody accountable, as I said before. So, as long as those things are in place, everything's well forward. I would hope, nobody goes to any backdoor meetings or anything. And everything should be above board. Things on YouTube now, people can see who say what, who do what, even the citizens that come up, everybody else can see. So we got to stay involved. We got to do some things to make some things happen, but you got to be all inclusive, and that's what my thing, what I like to see happen. Sooner or later, the number of completion don't be 7 years. And hopefully, somebody else can take the ball from there. So it's tough decisions, Some people might like this, some people might like it the other way, but I think somebody said did not do nothing. It's just definitely unacceptable. So we just gotta try to make the best decisions on everything we do.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Ice.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank the citizens coming out tonight. Comments heard and shared. Just want to let people know that I do support the Racial Equity Department. It's just a process, to get things done right. We're going to stick with that process. Congratulations on the 875 Riverview project. I'm sure it's just the beginning. You got to have development for the city to grow, and development going to happen. So just as long as we work together, do this thing together, Benton Harbor can grow. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you, and thank you everybody for taking time out of your busy schedule to come down to see if the government is working for you or not. And I want to congratulate the young man that chose Benton Harbor to come in and do business with. As a business owner, overhead can be something else. And then when you have other people within your place of business that you may be renting to and not sure if they're going to pay when the bills are due, it can be kind of hard. Try it. See if you like it. There's so many different types of businesses though. And Benton Harbor is on the move. And I'm not saying that I have done anything but move when God told me to. And I'm staying my course that he has set for Mary Alice, not anybody else. And ever since I followed him, I saw nothing but his mighty hand move. Whether it be medical marijuana or whatever, I saw nothing but growth. And those that may laugh did not agree, but it's going to bring in some cash flow and some development. And yes, I attend backdoor meetings. You know why? Because they don't have anything to do with city government, but getting something done for my people, for the inner city of Benton Harbor. You know, I've heard some of my colleagues, and I frankly get tired. People just running off at the mouth, doing nothing, but running off at the mouth about the same damn thing over and over and over, and it gets draining and tiring. I am 60 years old. I've given 20 years of my life to do what others been down there doing, just running off at the damn mouth. Yeah, whatever.
No.
We fixing the damn roads, aren't we?
No.
And that's another thing. If the weather and the climate changes, we have a schedule for asphalt and concrete to be doing the roads. Right now, we're usually at 6 or 7 feet of snow. We all better be on our knees instead of backbiting and stabbing each other in the back. If we 90-something% black community, what is wrong?
Right.
What is wrong? There's some stuff moving. Believe that. Believe that. I have a nephew that's about to go pro boxing. He knocked some little guys out down there in our armory about 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I love that I wish we had an arena somewhere around here so I can bring some people in here too. And not only of the boxing world, but some other folks too. I work for everything that I got. Nobody give me nothing. Nothing. I've taken a lot of my time, but I know more grateful than not. Have a blessed night.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Excuse me. Thank you for coming out tonight. To everybody, a certain message to Pocatello. It's gonna be all right after the night. We're gonna get a big check here shortly. It's gonna be all right in the morning. When you really analyze and look at it, you don't have to say nothing. Just pay attention. You got a young man here who's getting ready to run for state rep, Brother Shakwe, who I'm very, very proud of. I've been watching him. The only thing I would tell you is don't let these people scar you. Because people smile in your face and pull the carpet from right up under your feet. The same ones that scream, help, and I'm gonna get you and I got you. Be the same ones. So it ain't what people say. It's what they do. Watch what they do, watch their actions, and you'll see a whole lot of different things begin to transpire. Please don't let it scar you. Is this young man running too?
Yeah.
He's running for county commissioner. Don't let him scar you. Please don't let them scar you. And I don't mean them, I mean people. I'm not talking about a color. Because in this game, there's no color. This politics, you'll see a whole lot of people talking and trying to give you advice. My grandfather told me talk is cheap. It takes money to buy land. So I don't like this uppity Negro syndrome when I'm sensitive. Because we got, most of us are check to check anyway. And only need one check to go bad for you to lose everything you got. So we do definitely need to be grateful because it's not you that did it yourself anyway. Try waking yourself up in the morning and try doing your own thing anyway. It ain't you that put yourself down there. It was the people that you knocked on the door and told them a lie that put you down there. And told them that you'll have their back. one of the biggest things that I'm gonna do, and I'm taking this upon myself, I don't like to get a water bill where it says no arrangement and no payment plan. It's the people's water. Why the township have one? We don't. Why does St. Joe City have one and we don't? We're the highest impoverished area, second highest in the state, and yet we almost the second highest tax in the state. Then to say that, you can't make a deal if you get a leak. You can't make a deal or not a deal, just let me get an arrangement. So I think that's something that we should take upon ourselves to do, stuff like that. And I was talking to one of our Brownfield, Mr. Mayor Hull. I think she's gonna be coming to our next meeting to give us some updates on Brownfield, her and Mr. Ford. They'll be coming soon to talk to us, tell us all the things that Brownfield money can do and all the things that Brownfield money can't do. And so we will be here. You're doing a good job, Brother Jerry. Just make sure you stay on the point, stay on the task. And City Manager Ellis he said he wanted to do it for 10 years. And if you're here for 10 years, brother, I'm gonna have your back for 10 years. And I want to watch it. If I got, how we're gonna make it in here, we're gonna make it in here for 10 years. And we're gonna make this thing go in a positive direction for the young people who are coming behind us. Brother James Davis, don't let it scar you. You ran it. Don't let this stuff scar you. Keep on participating and being a part. Because it's gonna take all of us to get to where we're trying to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Seats and all of the council, staff. I'd like to thank the residents for coming out. I'd like to congratulate the 825 development, politics and Benton Harbor and Contacts Board. Welcome to the city of Benton Harbor. But as one person told me, if you can make it in politics in Benton Harbor, he said you can go anywhere. So, the opportunity in the city of Benton Harbor is great, but I do want to quote Billy Preston, who said, "Nothing from nothing leaves nothing. And you got to have something if you want to be with me." So we got to come to the table with something. The days something for nothing, that's over with. Benton Harbor, we must come to the table with something. Otherwise, sit down and let somebody who's coming with something get the job done. Because one thing I have seen, we raise our hand saying we want to do it, but given the opportunity, I got the scars to prove it. So, bring something to the table. Hand out, that's over with. Hand up, we here to help. But a handout, it's a cartoon, and some of you may be familiar with it, where they had corporations, and the line was long, and people was in line to get a job, while those who were at the top of the corporation was going out the back door with bags of money, while it was lines of people at the front door begging for a job, like Lazarus, begging the rich man for a job. One thing about the Chinese, they ain't saying go out and vote. I ain't never seen them down, give me a job. Go get elected. They pulled a research. It was 3 people that established Chinatown. Now in Chicago, now you got them all across the United States. And they ain't talking about give me no job. They go out and make a job, create a job, and then hire their brother. Hey, you had your chance.
Oh.
So, before I was interrupted. So we gotta, Ben Harbor, we gotta do better. We have to do better. And if we're gonna be involved in what's happening and going on, business as usual on our side is unacceptable. So don't bring your hat in your hand looking for something. Bring something to the table, and you will be successful. Because this council, we're gonna work with you and we're gonna help you. But coming, begging, asking, that's not gonna happen. So I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Support.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson? Yes. Commissioner Ister? Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Singer? Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
You know what? 2 years.